Hello all, Rick here with a new video looking into a non-Federation starship taking us back to Starfleet's best frenemies, the Klingon Empire. This time we're looking at a notable but seldom appreciated vessel, the Vor'cha class attack ship, and it has some surprising secrets to it, beginning with its real-world origins. The Vor'cha was designed by Rick Sternbach and modelled by Greg Jean, and despite featuring prominently in DS9, it first appeared in Star Trek The Next Generation. The reason for their creation was simple. The D7 and the Bird of Prey are iconic, but this was supposed to be the next generation, not the recycled content. It's a TV show, not my channel. While obviously hearkening to the Klingon D7 designs of the past, the Vor'cha was also there to reflect an era of peace that the Klingon Empire had maintained with the Federation, even with the exchanging of technologies. While not alluded to in canon, the design echoes several such exchanges, such as the general nacelle shape being more similar to Starfleet's, with the Passard collectors being implemented. The whole coloration was also lightened, from the greens of the Bird of Prey to meet with the duranium grey of Starfleet vessels. So, onto the lore. The Klingon Empire seldom seems to develop new vessels, instead iterating on the same designs with new tech and a variety of subclasses. An exception was made with the Klingon Vor'cha class attack cruiser. With the standardisation of the Klingon Defence Force a century or so before, the Klingon Empire developed new ships for its most notable admiralty and officials. These would be larger and more powerful versions of the successful Katinga class, and begin entering service around 2362, after initially being reserved for the Chancellor and members of the High Council. It was designed to be able to stand up to the Federation's Galaxy class and contemporaries. Not that the Empire was expecting warfare with Starfleet or anything, but for a warrior culture to be outdone and possibly left vulnerable did not sit right with them. The emergence of the D'Deridex on the scene from the Romulan Star Empire a few years later would seem to cement the Klingons as making the correct choice, as they amped up production of their new mainstay vessel. The Vor'cha was designed not only for combat, it was a Klingon vessel after all, but also for long-range missions and to bolster their supply lines of the Empire. They were some of the fastest ships the Empire had produced, making them excellent transportation for cargo and dignitaries, hence their initial exclusivity to the High Council and other officials. But between 2367 and 69, their success ensured that they would see use throughout the Empire. By the time of the Dominion War, the Vor'cha was the new backbone vessel of the Klingon Empire, and served to coordinate wings of Birds of Prey and Katinga classes. Their flagship status would be relinquished with the creation of a new class in 2371. Over time, their designs and firepower were further tuned up, but more improvements would require an even larger warship class, something that the Klingon Empire would definitely put in its back pocket for later. This vessel appears to be named for a star system in Klingon space, and was developed at the Kronos Orbital Facility. Other vessels of the line also appear to be predominantly named for other locations and colonies of Klingon origin. It was expected to operate for around 2 years before major refit was needed. The Vor'cha class is 481.3 metres long, 341.8 wide and 106.9 tall, weighing in at 2,238,000 metric tonnes. It was crewed by 1,900 in total, with a maximum emergency of 4,290. However, it could be crewed by far fewer. Their largest weakness was that their sensor systems were inferior to even some Bird of Preys, and could easily be fooled or evaded by a canny vessel. Not ideal for a ship that would go on to serve as the primary interception and patrol ship of the Empire. But everything else about them made up for this, and over time a sensor system revamp is exactly the kind of thing the Klingon Empire would fold into their next iteration of Vor'cha, as they did with the long-lived D7. The main deflector was slung under the command module. However, They also incorporated the Klingon cloaking device, but it retained many of the basic shortcomings of such a device, including the lowering of shields to use, the inability to fire while cloaked, and the limiting of warp speeds. Its reactor core was in fact twin STN6 graph matter antimatter units, and as I mentioned in the intro, it was probably developed from studying Starfleet's own designs. This led to the incorporation of Picard collectors, replacing the larger and more vulnerable matter intake vents of the D7, and a more efficient design that could cruise at warp 6 while reaching a safe maximum of 9.6 for around 12 hours. This puts it on par with the newest Katinga vessels, which were also likely refitted with newer developments. Despite these advancements, it still supported the large radiator baffles seen on many other Klingon ships, showing that it was not a simple copy-paste of Starfleet tech. It has 4 impulse engines across the rear wings, each operable independently, allowing for greater manoeuvrability than its size would suggest, although I only see 2. This is a priority on a vessel with so much front-facing firepower and another staple of Klingon design. Their formidable firepower, too, was not best suited for bombardment or planetary siege, which honestly speaks to a very Klingon mindset. After all, ship-to-ship combat is far more exhilarating, and beaming down to engage in battle is more honourable. Not to undersell it, of course, it can still easily level unprotected facilities. As with many Klingon ships, much of its weaponry was forward-facing, however, it was covered in smaller disruptor banks too. It had 1 main forward disruptor cannon, and 18 further turret cannons around its hull, centred on several weapons platforms. It had 3 torpedo launchers, 2 fore and 1 aft, although I have seen some schematics with far more, up to about 4 aft. The front section of the vessel could be exchanged with other mission-specific pods, although if these were even seen, then they appear to be identical in the shows. This section also contained the main operations bridge and could function as even an evacuation pod if needed, replete with its own power reserves and life support. It also had 2 light impulse engines. It featured a secondary flying bridge that coordinated with the forward bridge and rear tactical command centre for fleet operations. 3 bridges, which bespeaks of its rugged survivability. The main shuttle bay was located on the top and faced forwards, while 2 smaller rear-facing ones sat at the back of both the flight bridge and the sensor and weapons platform. Overall, it had a complement of about 8 shuttlecraft and a single Imperial yacht. Whereas its predecessor, the D7, was built to rival Starfleet in a time of strife and adversity, this Vor'cha was built with the lessons learned from working with the Federation. A more open exchange of technologies and design led to the improvements across the board, but notably in engine efficiency in Klingon ships while not abandoning their own style. The Vor'cha rapidly became the new mainline ship of the Klingon fleet, and operated alongside their older staple classes, proving itself during the Dominion War and even more so, and set the stage for their next most ambitious project yet, the Nechva. I've been Rick, thanks for watching this lore breakdown on the Vor'cha class, and until the next one, thanks again, and goodbye.